Well folks, back in Cabot again. This is probably the third straight review in 3 weeks, or preview rather. Today, it's anime adaptation time as we get Ghost in the Shell. Now, considering Hollywood's track record for adapting Japanese anime into live-action Western movies, I'm going in with very low expectations. And considering the lead protagonist is Scarlett Johansson, let's put it this way, she's no Sophie Reed, she's no Nicole Kidman, and she's certainly no Chloe Moretz. Biased opinion, I know, but that's just me for you. In 2 hours, we're going to see if this is going to be a success or a crash and fail, and it has to be said, Undertaker, thank you. Thank you for everything, man. You're the best. Damn good WrestleMania 2. MJ out. Well folks, this is the spoiler review for Ghost in the Shell, so I'm just going to give you 5 seconds if you've clicked this by accident thinking this is a spoiler. It's the spoiler-free review. And we're good. Writing. It pretty much stays very, very accurate and very faithful to the source material, particularly with regards to the 1996 anime movie of the same name. There's a lot of philosophical thought from the Major because she questions who and what she is and what have you. And particularly with Scarlett Johansson, the visual look of how she looks very similar to her anime counterpart. Particularly with just the way the hair is done. It's like, yes, even the thermoptic suit she wears, because as we all know in the anime, whenever the Major has the uses her thermoptic camouflage, she's actually naked for it, whereas with this one she is and she isn't. She isn't because the suit is the material it is to be able to camouflage. But it doesn't leave much to the imagination with regards to the human anatomy. And a lot of the visuals that are done in this movie, it's almost straight out of the anime. Whether it's the suspicious guns for hire, taking the guns out of their briefcases, where the briefcases just drop and they're just holding the guns, or to where the Major would have been walking between these buildings, and then there's these aerial shots where it looks, like I say, almost panel for panel, like what has been from the anime, and to the, I suppose, the confrontation in the flooded area where she confronts the guy who's been, running away to try and stop being accosted. It's page for page. The only slight difference this time is Bato, who's played by, and I hope I pronounce your name here properly, buddy, Pillow Asbaik. There's my watch again. Bato, with this one, he has the similar sort of mannerisms as the anime version. Particularly in the English dub version, voiced by the very, very talented Richard Epcar. And if you're watching this, sir, you are awesome. I'm a huge fan of your version of Bato. I felt with Pylo, he doesn't have the same gravitas, or gravitar, whichever your preferred pronunciation, as Richard's interpretation. But there's animation and there's live action. It's like apples and oranges. You can't really compare the two. But although Pylo, he has the physique, he has the look with the hair, and he's got a very no-nonsense attitude with regards to criticizing some of the Major's choices and what have you, I just feel as though he doesn't quite have the same lasting effect as Richard's performance, but that's my perspective from a biased fan's point of view. Make of that what you will. There's even like little references to Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, where Bato has this You know, has this pet, you know, high maintenance pet beagle as a dog, as a pet. And, you know, you see where he goes to pick up bones from a local market to go feed the dogs in the alley, which I thought, okay. Because Rupert Sanders, to my understanding, is a huge fan of the original anime and presumably the anime series standalone complex, which, if you've never seen Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, I highly recommend you actually go watch that series as well, because it builds upon what was set as a precedent in the '96 movie, but because it's a weekly TV show, they're able to expand on certain things and what have you, which you can't really do with a movie. I mean, a movie, you've got to do everything, try and condense everything, whereas with a TV show, you can allow things to decompress and explore things at a more leisurely pace. Now, I mentioned in the spoiler-free review that Scarlett actually tried to act in this. I might have been a little bit antagonistic with you know, the mention of acting capabilities, because, you know, I'm just going to say this, Scarlett's okay. She's not great, she's not brilliant, but she's not the worst I've ever seen. Simply because if you were to compare, like I say, Scarlett with, say, Sophie Reed, Nicole Kidman, or my personal favourite, Chloe Grace Moretz. You know, Chloe and Sophie up here, Nicole's a little bit there, Scarlett's a little bit down here. And, you know, that's not me, you know, hating for the sake of, I just don't rate Scarlett Johansson as a compelling actress. She's alright, but she's not that great. I mean, she's ideal as Black Widow because Black Widow does very little talking and just gets on with it, particularly if the Avenger movies are anything to go by. And particularly with regards to the Major, particularly whenever I've watched the movies, she's not a chatty female protagonist. She's kind of like a female anime equivalent of Batman, you know, very little talking, just get on with it and get out of Dodge, you know, when the job is done. So, I think you could have picked someone better to play the Major, but things being what they are, you know, because Scarlett's a big name, you know, whether us, you know, Ghost in the Shell fans want to admit it, she is a big name. She does draw in the money, so I can understand why DreamWorks Pictures specifically went for her. Weta Workshop, you know, I gotta hand it to those guys. The sets and the props, you know, considering these are the same people who did the miniatures and various other prop pieces for the Lord of the Rings movies, and of course, my personal favourite at the moment, the Thunderbirds Are Go TV series. Rock on, guys, you are awesome. You know, they are the go-to guys when it comes to things like this, because they are just able to make things look so authentic and so true to the source material of whatever project they're working on that it's hard to mistake it. I'm just going to talk minor characters, like, for example, Juliette Binoche as Dr. Ole, who's the genius doctor that was able to save Mataku and Motoko, excuse me. I say Mataku because I remember how it was pronounced in the '96 movie, so, you know, that's just maybe just different perspectives and what have you, but she saves Motoko's life. And although she doesn't have a huge on-screen time compared to the rest of the actors, she makes the best use of what she has, and she's a scientist that, you know, she values Motoko's existence and says, you know, you really ought to consider the importance of your existence and what it means to humanity and science as a whole. Whereas Motoko's just like, I'm just here to do my job, you know, clock in, clock out. Let's see. Peter Ferdinando as Cutter. Again, he's another one that really made use of of the screen time he had, considering he wasn't on screen as much. And Mr. Cutter is just a flat-out grade A douchebag. You know, he just sees the Major as a weapon, not as a human. He's just in it for the profit. It's kind of like Major Talbot from 2003's Hulk and Thunderbolt Ross from the 2008 Hulk movie. You know, they see the profit result. They don't really care about, you know, the person that's actually behind everything. So it's just another greedy corporate money grabbing douchebag situation. So, you know, make of that what you will. I hope I'm pronouncing this. It's either Chin Han or Shin Han. I don't know the pronunciation, so do correct me in the comment section below. I legit don't know, guys, so don't go hating. As Togusa, he really captures the essence of that particular character, particularly in the English dub version of Ghost in the Shell 2 and the standalone complex, who is voiced by the ever so talented Crispin Freeman, who some of you may remember as Dr. Alucard from Hellsing, and my personal favourite, Zelgadis Greywords from Slayers. And like I say, Han really captures the essence of the character. He's pretty much straight on with the work, clock in, clock out. He just wants to do his bit, go home to his family, what have you. Again, he's not a huge on-screen presence, but when he's there and when he says something, it means something. So I'm kind of glad they kept to that, and they put his classic Montaber pistol in there. So I'm like, okay, that's staying true to the material. Even down to the spider tank that was pretty much referenced from the anime. Even to with the Major using the thermoptic suit, going on top, and actually trying to rip the AI out of the tank, and you see her, you know, her muscles and other various body parts starting to fail at the back to where one of her arms comes piercing off. You know, I like those very subtle references and what have you. They didn't go with... They didn't repeat the ending of the first of the original anime movie, even though there's the shot of Project 2571 or Hideo Kuze. There's the shot of, let's just call him for what he is. He was the puppet master. Let's not try and, because we know what it's referencing. There's even the same iconic shot of the two cybernetic bodies on the floor with the helicopter lights over them. They didn't do the ending where the two ghosts merge into one and then it's back at Bato's apartment where Bato had salvaged what was left of the Major's body and put her into a new cybernetic form. They didn't do that this time. Which I'm actually kind of glad, because it's a fresh take, and no offense, if they had done the same ending as the anime, it's like, why make a new live-action movie when you've already had that done? Because, you know, that was already done, so there'd be no point for that. And plus, it's always artistic license, you know, just to be able to say, okay, this is a fresh take on it, what have you. It's actually one of the few... probably one of the few, if not the only, anime adaptation I can honestly say was very respectful to the source material, but also was brave enough to actually do some fresh spins on things and actually go with an ending that not many of us would have expected them to do. And they've done it in such a way whereby you feel like original fans will be able to accept this and be like, okay, that was alright. And actually look at and have new fans come and say, oh, this was okay. And then you have a friend that says, you do know this is adapted from this movie. And they're like, really? And then they go show that movie. They go and love that. And then it goes into standalone complex and the Arise series, you know, it works. So I can safely say that the cycle of bad Western adaptations of anime movies has finally been broken, because I got what I wanted out of this movie. There was really stunning visuals that made it look as though it was Ghost in the Shell brought into the real world, with enough differences to make you think, okay, this could actually work. But with enough, and also with so many respectful nods and references, like I say, to the movies, maybe a little bit of standalone complex. I felt like Scarlett's portrayal was being more like the original movie and not so much like the TV series, because the original movie, Major was somewhat masculine in the sense of there wasn't much femininity about her, whereas with standalone complex you do see, like, this is a person who's had to become a cyborg at some stage in her life just to be able to function the way she wants to and be able to do her job with Section 9. But you do see enough moments in that particular anime series where she knows who and what she is as well. She's a woman that wants to be feminine and doesn't want to be like a butch, masculine female. Which people I've spoken to have said, yeah, that's actually kind of an accurate description. So I think Scarlett delivered that well. And like I say, she actually tried in this movie. And like I say, I'm not her biggest fan. You know, I think there are plenty of actresses that are better than her, but, you know, she actually put the time and the effort into this, so I will give her praise for that. And I like the fact that they actually put the original theme in when they did the shelling, I believe that's what it's called, where you'll see her brain put into a shell and then put into a cybernetic body, and then just, you know, pretty much recreating the scene from the original movie of how the Major was actually created in her cybernetic form. And I have to point this out to a few people. I'm just saying this. There's a difference between an android and a cyborg. An android is completely synthetic, trying to mimic, you know, the human form and what have you, but cyborgs is, as it says, a cybernetic organism. There are natural and artificial components to it, because the Major has a human brain in her body. In the same context, you look at, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, or the T-800, if we're going to be real technical about it. It's living tissue over a metal exoskeleton. So, you know, I'm just putting that out there. And also, if we're going to be technical, the androids in Dragon Ball Z's Android Saga, the Cell Saga, and the World Tournament Saga, or the Cell games, technically they're cyborgs. Because androids 17, 18, and 16 actually started life out as humans, and then they were actually converted into cyborgs, not androids. I know it's the Android Saga, but hey, I'm just putting that out there. So, and we're getting back onto Ghost in the Shell. Outside fans or neutral fans, I know particularly with regards to Random DCE, he's never really been a fan of it. Hey, it's all good. But fans of the original, I think, will love this. I know there are some fans that aren't keen with animes having Hollywood adaptations done. You know, that's their choice. But again, I personally enjoyed this. I went in with very low expectations. It's something I've been working on a lot as a person and a reviewer lately, because if you keep your expectations low and your end result is actually a lot higher than what you expected it to be, then you don't set yourself up for disappointment. So I'm sticking with my rating for Ghost in the Shell for my spoiler-free review. It's a very generous and a very good flick bargain. Until next time, folks, this has been MJ Knight signing off for the spoiler review of Ghost in the Shell. Good night from the night.